The future of a fraternity at a Connecticut college will be in the hands of a judge today. Officials at Wesleyan University are requiring the frat to admit women and provide housing for them. Adriana Diaz reports from the fraternity in Middletown, Connecticut, that accuses the school of discrimination.
These may be the last days of brotherhood at Wesleyan University.
I think it's a really tragic loss for the campus, but also for my brothers.
The liberal arts school is forcing residential fraternities to go co-ed after a string of sexual assault charges on campus. In September, Wesleyan President Michael Roth said that if fraternities wanted to keep their on-campus housing, they needed to start admitting women. In a letter, he wrote women as well as men must be full members and well represented in the body and leadership of the organization. Later, the university relaxed its request, asking that only fraternity housing be open to females.
This is a hall a lot of sophomores and juniors live on.
Will Krogan is vice president of Delta Kappa Epsilon, or DEEC, the only all-male fraternity left on a campus that prides itself on being progressive. Even some of the bathrooms here say they're open to anyone, regardless of gender identity or expression.
We are the minority on a campus like this. Guys like us who, a lot of us are blue-collar guys, we're on sports teams.
I mean, we're not advocating for fraternities or for white men to not be able to hang out together. We're just saying that the structures of fraternities have a lot of resources.
Resources the school wants available to all students. Sophomore Abby Kniff and senior Chloe Murtagh have been advocating for the change.
Societally, I hope we're almost done with institutions that bar women.
And how many rooms total have been offered to the university?
Enough for 6 female students.
DEEC began making plans for female residents, but Wesleyan says those plans lacked details and wouldn't be ready before the deadline. DEEC's housing privileges for next year were revoked, and the fraternity sued, requesting a temporary injunction to stay open.
Personally, for me, I think it's kind of unfair that you can't have a house where you celebrate brotherhood.
Would you go so far as to say that members of this fraternity are being discriminated against?
Yes.
For the university to say, I'm sorry, all resources must be available to all people on campus, that is not discriminatory. That is alleviating discrimination. That is reducing discrimination.
Attorney Kathleen Eldergill represents the fraternity.
Title IX, which is the federal law governing gender equity on campus, specifically makes an exception for fraternities and sororities. It's a recognition that sort of living arrangement in and of itself isn't discriminatory.
Is there a concern that women may not want to live in a frat house?
That's a big concern. Even a lot of the girls that we know, we'll talk to them like, hey, would you guys, live in DEEC necessarily? And they're like, well, yeah, we'd love to live with you guys, hang out with you guys, but the bathrooms are gross.
The school declined our request for an interview and submitted its final brief to a Connecticut judge today. Now the judge has 120 days to decide if this 170-year-old fraternity will close this year.